Does artificial intelligence know ball? I asked artificial intelligence to predict game by game what they thought the Buffalo Bills season was going to look like in 2025. I had to do a couple of attempts because for some teams or some matchups, they had us playing certain personnel that was no longer on the team. Like best example was they thought or it thought that Aaron Rodgers was still the quarterback of the New York Jets. So right after a couple of different things and right after a couple of entries within Grok, I finally came up with a perfect game-by-game prediction. Whether or not that we agree with it, that is another conversation to have. However, let's go through this game by game, and let's see what they think. Starting off against the Baltimore Ravens, they have us losing against the Baltimore Ravens. I don't particularly hate this. Again, it's a very similar relationship that Buffalo has with the Kansas City Chiefs, right? We always beat the Kansas City Chiefs in the regular season, but when it comes into the playoffs, that's an entire different story. We are going to be seeing the Baltimore Ravens, at least foreseeably, at full strength. 0 injuries. And you could make an argument that they will be seeing us at full strength as well, but I would not be shocked if we ultimately end up dropping that first game. They say that the reason is Lamar Jackson's dual threat ability challenges Buffalo's secondary, Harrison, Benford, and Hancock. All right. Especially without Hyde's experience. Don't like that because Hyde, of course, was only on the practice squad last year. Ravens' physical run game overpowers the Bills' front despite Bosa's presence, and Allen keeps it competitive, but a late Baltimore score wins in primetime. So AI thinks that the Sunday night football matchup is going to live up to expectations, and Baltimore would ultimately end up winning at the last minute. Again, I have gone on record. I see this game going either way. So I don't particularly hate this sort of prediction. Followed by that, they have us beating the New York Jets. They're talking about how Fields' mobility tests the Buffalo Bills linebackers. Can Milano actually come back this season and be a resemblance of what he used to be? Same thing with Bernard. If Harrison's speed matches up well against Garrett Wilson, I would love to see that. If Max Harrison goes out there and he could lock down any of the NFL's elite wide receiving talent, my God, inject it into my veins, ladies and gentlemen. And James Cook runs effectively against a solid but not elite Jets front. All right, so 1-1 to start the season, folks. That's what AI is thinking. Week 3, where I am going to be live in the Caesars Sportsbook Lounge. So excited for that. With a lot of fans of Roundtable Sports and some good friends. They have us beating the Miami Dolphins, going 2-1. And I love seeing this word because this tells me maybe AI does know ball. Buffalo dominates Miami at home, especially in September weather. Harrison and Benford contain Tyreek, while Bosa, Jackson disrupt Tua. Oh, man. Dude, feed it to me. Feed it to me. Do they have a crystal ball back there in the Grok headquarters? I feel like that's the question. Followed by that, they have us beating the New Orleans Saints, going 3-1. I don't think anybody has predicted otherwise here. We end up beating the New England Patriots at home. All right. New quarterback Drake May lacks offensive firepower. Who knows if Diggs is going to be the same, especially since we don't know how effective he will be, even if he is available by week 1. I think that that's a fair assessment. But then this one kind of threw me for a loop, and it's not just artificial intelligence. It's really not just artificial intelligence for me. I've seen a lot of people saying that we are going to drop the Atlanta Falcons game. Guys, I just don't see it. I don't see it. I really, really don't. I think Michael Penix is interesting on film. Sometimes he's putting up some of the most beautiful throws I have seen in the NFL for the past 3 to 4 years. And granted, we're talking a very small sample size. But Sean McDermott against rookie quarterbacks, his numbers are insane. His numbers are absolutely bonkers. And they also say that the pass rush over in Atlanta is going to challenge the Buffalo Bills offensive line. Guys, we have an elite offensive line. Like, we quite literally have the offensive line that made Josh Allen the least sacked quarterback in the NFL. And we did that against quality ass pass rushes, folks. Like we did that against the Denver Broncos. I think in the playoff game where Denver was the most efficient sack leading defensive line, sack leading front seven, I think Josh was sacked once. Like I don't see Atlanta comparing to some of the fronts that we saw last year in 2024. I just don't see it. So I don't agree with artificial intelligence here, but whatever, I'll take it. Moving on, they have us taking care of business against the Carolina Panthers, going 5-2. Many of you know that I am high on Bryce Young. All right. I am pounding the table that he will improve yet again under Dave Canales. I think that's fair. Followed by the Kansas City Chiefs, a loss against the Kansas City Chiefs, going 5-3. Thin secondary. Again, they're so fixated on Micah Hyde potentially being on this roster and Rasul Douglas, who had an off season. But look, I got to tell you, I'm not superstitious, but I am a little stitious. Maybe, just maybe, if Kansas City beats us in the regular season, maybe we end up taking care of business right in the AFC Championship. Maybe that's the case. It's very juvenile for me to think that way, but it's still a possibility. It is still a possibility. Moving down, we have Week 10 versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. We win that game 6-3. Rodgers has a potent passing game, which I still believe he's going to be like relatively serviceable with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And by the way, I was looking at their roster or their additions this offseason. That is the retirement home of the NFL, man. How many unks are on that team is absolutely absurd. But you know what? I love it. I love a good old guy story. But we take care of business against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Week 11, Cincinnati Bengals, 7-3. Man, I'll tell you what, I need this game. Not because I think that there's going to be crazy playoff implications, because I don't trust Cincinnati's defense to make them a consistent football team this year. Like they literally spent $270 million to be the exact same team as 2024. However, I don't want to deal with Cincinnati Bengals fans on X. And they have been a thorn in our side, although we've only played them twice. And people are like, oh my God, yeah. And so the Cincinnati Bengals own you. It's really only one game, right? It's really only one game when you look at it, because that first game got canceled after the Damar Hamlin situation. They say that Joe Burrow and Chase test the Bills secondary, but the Bills' home field advantage in pass rush disrupts Cincinnati's rhythm. And Allen matches Burrow's output, and a late defensive stop by Bernard seals a key AFC win. This is getting wildly specific, and I'll tell you what, I absolutely love it. Followed by Week 12, they have us losing to the Houston Texans, going 7-4. CJ Stroud and Nico exploit Bills' secondary weaknesses, and Houston's pass rush, led by Will Anderson Jr., forces an Allen turnover, and the Texans win a competitive primetime game at home. We do need to remember that the Houston Texans offensive line is not very good, especially last year. Although that Buffalo didn't really do a good job at exploiting it last year because our defensive line was very inconsistent. I think this game could go either way, and so I'm not going to lie to you. So I don't particularly hate this prediction, but still, again, I want this game against Houston. Followed by a Tennessee Titans victory, going 8-4. We take care of business with Cam Ward, a very young team that is rebuilding, that is truly rebuilding now. Sweep the New England Patriots in New England. All right, so that's good. Week 15, we beat the Cleveland Browns, go 10-4. I don't think a lot of people are thinking Cleveland's going to be very good this year. Miami, we sweep Miami, folks. So far, hear me out, they have us sweeping the AFC East, which makes me feel pretty damn good. And then how about this? How about artificial intelligence has the Buffalo Bills beating the Philadelphia Eagles? Fun fact, did you know that the Philadelphia Eagles is the only team that Sean McDermott and Josh Allen have not defeated in their entire tenure in Buffalo? That would be fantastic. Their bolstered defensive line slows Philadelphia's run-heavy offense, Allen outplays Jalen Hurts, and Palmer's reliable hands shine in a statement home win. Folks, I got to tell you what, I'm going to have to save this video and reflect back once the season is all over with. I'm going to have to do it because I want to see if they are even remotely correct. Last but not least, the Buffalo Bills take advantage of the New York Jets. We finished 13-4. Now it comes into the playoffs. All right. And they say that we're going to get the second or the third seed in the AFC behind the Chiefs or possibly the Ravens. I got to tell you, I don't particularly agree with this. I think 13-4 gets the Buffalo Bills the first seed this year. I do. Because I've mentioned before that the AFC North has a much more difficult schedule than the AFC East, and the AFC West has the exact same situation. Very difficult schedule, where Buffalo has that advantage. I think we get the 1 seed, but for the sake of humoring me, let's see what happens. Wild card, they have us playing either the Pittsburgh or Cincinnati Bengals. Win with Allen's MVP form and home field advantage overpower the opponent, and the defensive line dominates. They are trying to make me feel like a happy Bills fan by suggesting that our defensive line will be the reason why we win any game, let alone a playoff game. I feel like we can all agree that that's where we're looking at. Followed by the divisional round. After losing to Baltimore week 1, again, we end up sending them home for the divisional round of the AFC playoffs. And Buffalo avenges the week 1 loss and handles a weaker opponent. Harrison and Benford step up, and Allen's heroics secure a victory. So here we are, back to the AFC Championship. Who are we playing? We are playing the Kansas City Chiefs, and they have us losing once again to the Kansas City Chiefs. I cannot tell you what would happen to me if we lost to the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC Championship. Oh my God, man. You would see a psychotic break live on camera.